Okay, class, good day. Welcome to Chapter 5, the Gravimetric Analysis. This topic, class, is part of our analytical chemistry course, and it focuses on a very classical but powerful method of analysis. So when we say gravimetric, class, we are talking about measurement based on weight or mass. So in this chapter, we will learn how a chemist or even a student determine the amount of a substance in a sample by measuring the mass of a pure compound that contains the analyte. So if basin mag-think mo nga old-fashioned ni siya, but actually class, gravimetric analysis is one of the most accurate and precise techniques in chemistry even karon or even this day, even today, no? So, in this class, by the end of this chapter, you should be able to first explain the properties of precipitates that are used in analysis. No? Then, second, you will also differentiate analytical methods that depend on mass measurements. Third, you'll also relate the solubility product constant or KSP to solubility. Then next, you will now solve gravimetric problems involving the data and the calculations. And last, you will also understand the factors affecting solubility and interpret gravimetric data. And lastly, we will also analyze the data of a gravimetric analysis. So in short, class, in this chapter, combines both the concept and computation. So make sure to understand the theory first before going into a problem solving. That's why this class will be cut into two parts. So this one is for the concept niya to ang tunan. Then for the second part will be the calculations. Okay? So let's start. Okay. So what exactly is gravimetric analysis, class? So the gravimetric analysis is a quantitative analytical method or quantitative method that are based on determining the mass of a pure compound that contains the element or ion you are analyzing. For example, we want to know how much calcium is in water. No? We can convert the calcium ion into a solid compound like the calcium oxalate. We will dry it, we will dry or ignite it, then we will weigh it. No? So the mass of that solid class give us information about how much the calcium was in the original sample. No? Again, the mass of that solid will gives us information about pila ka calcium ang naa sa original nga sample. So this is the idea, class. The idea was simple. You will make the analyte form a solid. You will purify it and weigh it accurately. No? So muna siya ang sa gravimetric analysis. Then we have steps that is commonly observed in the gravimetric analysis. So there are a few major steps in gravimetric analysis. So let's go through them slowly. First, class, we have the preparation of the solution. So we start by dissolving a known weight of a sample analyte. No? So training of solution with the aid of the usage of the acknowledged weight of the sample analyte, meaning known ang iyahang sample. No, so that is acknowledged weight of sample analyte. Okay. Then second, we have the separation of Then second, we have the separation of the desired ion or element. Now we convert the analyte into a pure insoluble compound using a chemical reaction. Now the third one is the formation of the precipitate. In this step class, the analyte will react with a reagent to form an insoluble solid. Then finally, we will do some calculations. We weigh the purified compound and then compute the mass of the analyte based on this stoichiometry. No? So basically class, the process is to, if we will summarize this. Again, first, you will dissolve the analyte. Then second, you will precipitate. You will undergo precipitation. Then after this one, after na precipitate, you will gonna filter it. Then after sa filter, you will dry. Of course, kay gamit man tag H2O or any solvent para ma-purify siya. Then after siya ma-dry, we will now going to weigh our sample. And lastly, we will do some computations. No? So that's the process. No? So each of these steps class must be done carefully. Kay gamay nga error sa weighing or washing, makadaot jud siya sa accuracy sa toang sample. Okay? Okay. So next, we have the another way to visualize the whole process. No? So matong yung gain na class, first is to prepare a solution from your sample. Bale, you will dissolve the sample. Then second, separate or precipitate the analyte as a solid. So you need to separate or precipitate the analyte na mahimo siyang solid, or separation of the desired constituent. Then after nimo siya ma-separate, you will now filter, dry, and weigh the isolated compound, or weighing the isolated constituent. Then lastly, you will now compute the amount of the element or ion in the original sample from the weight. So class, ang mass of the solid serves as the measurable quantity. From that class, we work backward to find how much analyte was present. So think of it like a detective job. So we don't measure the calcium directly. Instead, we first measure, for example, a calcium oxide. We measure first kana siya before we calculate the calcium. So ang concept aning gravimetric analysis. Dili pwede nga diretso ta sa calcium. We must know first the mass of the calcium oxide, then we will now go back to the calcium kung pila gyud ang iyahang weight through calculations. Now we have some common procedure involved in gravimetric analysis. First, preparation of the sample. Again, in this part class, we will dissolve or digest the sample properly. Then after that, we will now do the digestion. Means that we will add the right reagent to form an insoluble compound. Then second is the filtration. The third one is a precipitation. So let the precipitate stand in the solution to form purer or larger crystals. Then after that one class, you will now undergo to filtration and also washing. no? Meaning you will separate and clean the solid to remove mga impurities, mga wala siya na form, kito sila. And you will now drying or igniting ni siya class. Drying or igniting, and you will also weighing kung pila yung timbang, and lastly you will do the calculations. You will determine its mass and compute for the analyte amount, no? So class, again, each step requires careful technique. Dili siya basta-basta nga pag gumani mo og weigh, okay na. Pag gumani mo og precipitate, okay na. So dili siya yung careful technique ang kinahanglan class, especially sa filtration and drying, kay mao ni ang source sa mga most common errors in gravimetric experiments, no? So nindot tana kung ma-visualize nato ni siya during our laboratory if dili na maglinog-linog. Okay, what are the advantages and disadvantages of gravimetric analysis? Let's talk about the pros and cons of this method class. First, we have the advantages. So, in advantages class, it's experimentally simple and elegant. Dali ilagay siya kung imong naon kay mag-dissolve ra ka og usa ka sample, precipitate, then imo siyang i-wash, filter, dry, weigh, then man na imo yung calculations dayon, no? And accurate po siya class na using those instrument po nga na po siya accuracy. Usually class, it has an percentage error nga usually within 0.1 to 0.3% ng mga error. So it doesn't require mga advanced instrument class. Only good lab skills and balance ang kinahanglan ani nga experiment. So what I'm going is accurate and precise, no, from 0.1 to 0.3% error. Next, we have the disadvantages or the cons of this experiment. So, kind experiment class, this is a macroscopic technique. So, it requires at least 10 milligram parts per trillion to collect and weigh properly. No? Meaning, class, you need a decent amount of a sample. At least mga 10 milligram nga inyong makuha of precipitate. No? The second one is it's time consuming. Since mag-dry pa ka, mag-filter pa ka, and mag-weigh pa ka, and it take hours. No? Dili man pwedeng in 1 minute na dayan imong sample. No? So wala yung ana. Actually, when I was in Thailand class, we have this bismuth nga sample. Bismuth is an element. So, gravimetric analysis ang magbuhat adto, no, nag-precipitate. Then, pag dry na mo class, it needs 24 hours para gyud ma-fully dry siya. No? So, gibutang na mo siya. We do that during our second day in Thailand. Then, pagka third day dayon ato nga university, amo na itong gikuha. No? So, mo to sa class, it requires an hour or more than an hour para ma-dry siya. So, gravimetric class is perfect for high precision analysis, pero not ideal for very small samples or when results are needed quickly. So, dili siya kanang ideal para sa magagmay mga samples or when the result is needed quickly. No? So, malayang cons. But nindot siya nga analysis. Now, we have different types of analysis depending on how the analyte is measured or transformed. First, we have the precipitation gravimetry. No? In here, class, it means that determining analyte concentration by measuring the mass of a solid precipitate formed during a chemical reaction. So, muna ako ga-explain ninyo gaina. No? For example, we measured the chloride ions in water by precipitating silver chloride and weighing the resulting solid. No? The second one is we have the volatilization gravimetry. No? Or this is weighing by difference. Meaning, class, analyzing volatile substances by measuring mass changes when they are kaning converted to gases upon heating. Now, for example, under the class is kaning determining sulfur content in a sample by heating it, then convert sulfur to sulfur dioxide gas and measuring mass loss. No? Kaning when involved na ang gases upon heating. If nanay gas, nanay na heat, tapos mo din ito ang nabilin nga, mo din ito inyong i-mass kung pila ang yang mass loss. No? The third one, we have the electrogravimetry. In here class, the electrogravity is quantifying the analyte concentration by depositing or dissolving it on an electrode using an electric current. So involved na ang electric current din a class, no? Like we will kaning quantify ang analyte concentration by dissolving it on an electrode, no? Using an electric current. So nakatry mi ani when we way back sa mong second year during sa mong electrochem. So man siya class. Example ato is kaning copper iron, no? Concentration by depositing copper metal on electrode and measuring the mass gain. Now, second one, we have the fourth one, we have thermogravimetric analysis or TGA. So it means class that studying a sample's composition and thermal properties by monitoring mass changes during controlled heating. So for example, na lang is analyzing polymer decomposition by heating it while measuring mass changes. So in here class, possible man good during heat na ay mass changes. So this is the mo nang iyahang concept sa kaning thermogravimetric. While gahit, kaubos iyang mass, so gina-record to siya ang iyang mass loss or mass changes. No? Then the fifth one, we have gravimetric titrimetry. It means that determining analyte concentration through the mass of precipitate formed during a titration. So during titration class, if there's a kaning sample nga na precipitate, timbangon to siya. No? Example diri, if we measure sulfate ion on concentration by titrating with barium chloride to form barium sulfate precipitate. Then the last one is the atomic mass spectrometry. No? In here class, it identifying elements and isotopes by measuring mass to charge ratios of ions. For example, analyzing carbon isotopes to date, archaeological materials using radiocarbon dating. So possible nga inyo ning ma-encounter since mga geol students man mo, no? But class, dili ito sila isa-isahon kaning unom ka buok. Among these, the most commonly used in the lab ang ato ang a topic, which is the precipitation gravimetry. No? We will focus on that because that is the classical and most common type. And in this method class, the analyte is converted into a sparingly soluble precipitate, meaning dili siya dali matunaw sa water. That precipitate class is then filtered, washed, dried, or ignited, and then finally weighed. Now, for example, gaina. So, itong example, gaina, no? If we want to determine the calcium in water, we will add some reagent to form calcium oxalate. Then we will filter it again and then heat para ma-form siya into calcium oxide. Then kitong the mass of the calcium oxide, you will now use it to compute how much calcium was originally present, no? So this this method depends on forming a compound that is pure, insoluble, and has definite composition. So here, a simple example to connect the theory. No? So, muna ko yung ina-analyze converted to sparingly soluble precipitate. So, in here class, uh, the reaction will be look like this. Kani. No? And then ito na mo yan nga reaction kaning na precipitate class is i-filtered siya, i-wash siya, and ignited to form a CaCaO, no? So kani siya nga part. Kana ang first. That is our reaction. Then after that, if after ma-ignite, ma-heat, the final solid is maganda na to siya. Kani. Okay. Then the final solid is kani siya is weigh accurately. Muna to ang timbangon kung pila ang yang timbang CaO. And after that, we will now get kining sa mass ni calcium, no? So we don't directly measure the calcium class nga gikan pa lang sa sugod dili pwede, no? We measure the weight of its oxide product, which is ang diri ang part, no? So that's the main principle of gravimetric analysis. Next, we have the properties of precipitates and precipitate reagents. So for accurate results class, our precipitating reagent should first is react specifically or at least selectively with the analyte, no? And form a pure and stable solid that is easy to wash and filter, no? Dili siya masagol sa water if we wash na siya and ma-filter. So when we say specific reagent class, it reacts with only one substance, no? For example, we have dimethyl dimethylglycine, no, or DMG. It reacts specifically with nickel ions to form a red precipitate, no? A selected reagent class, on the other hand, reacts with a limited group of ions, so such as AgNO3, no? Kana. Or si AgNO3, it will react with halides such as chloride, boron, chloride ion, and iodide ion, but not with all ions. So class, the choice of reagent is critical. Why? Because it determines if your precipitate will be clean or contaminated, no? So yung na siya. Now let's list the ideal properties of gravimetric precipitate. Remember class, a good precipitate should be easily filtered and washed to remove impurities. If you have a slow solubility, you will gain a very little analyte remains in solution, no? And also dapat chemically stable po siya and not react with air or moisture, no? And also dapat known ang iyang composition after drying or ignition, no? For example, we analyze chloride using AgNO3. The precipitate formed is AgSCl, di ba? Which is stable and slightly soluble and has a definite formula, perfect for gravimetry. So kung ang precipitate class dali matunaw or reactive sa atmosphere, sayang lang ang inyong effort, no? In here class, in laboratory class, kapoy magbalik-balik, no? So sayang yung effort kay ma-lost ang analyte or gani makontaminate ang product. Now let's talk about particle size. Very important siya class sa gravimetric analysis. Kung gamay kayo ang particles or ginatawag siya colloidal form, lisod kayo siya filter and prone siya sa contamination, no? Pero kung large and crystalline ang precipitate, dali ra siya i-filter o dali na po siya i-wash. Now, there are factors that determine the particle size of precipitates. We have the solubility, precipitate solubility. So, lower solubility class property sa precipitate, meaning the size of the precipitate are bigger. Kay dugoy man siya mag-dissolve. Now, in terms of temperature, higher temperatures generally increase the solubility of most substances, including sugar. So, when you cool a solution after dissolving sugar in hot water, the rapid decrease in temperature can cause sugar to come out of solution as smaller particles or crystals. No? Because class, lower temperature typically leads to smaller particles due to decreased solubility. No? And next, we also have these reactant concentrations. Meaning, if higher ang concentration class, it can be harder to dissolve. So therefore, it promotes larger particles. No? We have the mixing rate here class. Faster mixing actually often results in smaller and more finely divided precipitate. And we have this equation. No? This equations class explains why some precipitates form large crystals while others form fine particles. So in here class, this is what they call the relative supersaturation or RSS. Relative supersaturation. And the RSS class is of the solution determines the particle size. That's why we have this formula na Q minus S over S. Now, where Q is the concentration of the solute, while Cs is the solubility of the precipitate. Now class, if the RSS is low, particle growth dominates, meaning it forms fewer larger crystals, which is good. But if imong RSS is high, dako, there's a the nucleation dominates, no? Meaning it forms many small particles, which is bad result, no? So our goal in the lab class is to minimize the supersaturation, to encourage crystal growth rather than rapid nucleations. No? Here class, if our Q is less than S, meaning the solution is unsaturated. No? But if the Q is equal to S, it means the solution is saturated. This one is unsaturated class. Okay, wait lang. Let me change that. Unsaturated. Then if Q is greater than S, that is the solution is now super saturated. Kana super saturated. No? Meaning, again, if unsaturated ang imuhang solution, if you add sugar class, it dissolves without leftover sugar. So that is unsaturated. No? But if imuhang solution is saturated, if magbutang kag sugar into hot water and imo siyang stir until no more wala na sugar ang pwede ma-dissolve, that tea or your coffee is now saturated. Then lastly, if the solution is super saturated, if you keep adding sugar class until it starts accumulating at the bottom, it is super saturated. No? Dili na tanang sugar mahilis. Okay? Because of that. So, end class, this equation is what you call Von-Weymarn equation. So that is ano ba to? Von-Weymarn equation. So remember this one. Okay? Now next. Saan ko? So muna siya class. Von-Weymarn equation. No? Now, precipitate formation class happens in 2 stages. No? First, we have the nucleation. And in nucleation class, it is a process in which a minimum number of atoms, ions, or molecules join together to give a stable solid. No? Again, the nucleation happens when small clusters of atoms or ions first form a tiny stable solid. So when the solution is highly supersaturated class, it produces many fine particles. No? Another is the particle growth. In nucleation class, it also predominates at high relative supersaturation, and again, it produces large number of fine particles. No? Then the second one is we have the particle growth. So in particle growth class, existing small crystals grows larger by collecting more ions from the solution. So it dominates when the supersaturation is low, producing large crystalline precipitates. No? Kana. It also produces crystalline suspensions. So class, think of it like gibuhat ka og usa ka rock candy, no? If you will cool the sugar solution slowly, you will get big crystal, di ba? But if you will cool it quickly, puro tiny crystals lang ang imuhang mabuild. So this that is same principle with gravimetric analysis. Okay? Now next we have the precipitation, the particle size and filterability of the precipitates. In here class, we have the experimental control of particle size. And the goal here is to reduce supersaturation to form big filterable crystals. Again, the question here is class, how do we control the size of our precipitate particles in practice? No? So our goal here is to minimize supersaturation to produce crystalline precipitates or to form big filterable crystals. And we can do that by first increasing the solubility S. So how? We will use hot solutions or elevate temperatures. And we will also adjust or control the pH depends on type of precipitate. No? Ulan na. But let's continue. Then, after we increase the S, we will also minimize the Q or decreasing concentration of Q. How will we do that? We will use dilute solutions. And we will also add the precipitating reagent slowly, of course, with constant stirring. No? So here class, if you want a clean crystalline precipitate, ayaw dali-dali no? Patience is key. So add your reagent slowly and stir properly. So hinlo ang inyuhang crystalline precipitate. No? Again, how do we control the size of precipitate? Our goal is to reduce supersaturation. No? So, patience is a key. We will add our reagent slowly and we will stir it properly. Okay? Now class, aside from the fact that we want larger particle size, dili jud malikayan nga naagi mga colloidal precipitates. And colloidal precipitates can be processed through coagulations para settle down ang precipitate. And coagulation process class includes heating, stirring, and adding of electrolyte. So, when we talk about colloids class, these are the mixtures nga ang mga particles are very, very small. So small nga dili sila matrap sa ordinary filters. Even kung ato silang pabutangan lang og time, dili gyapon sila mo settle down. And this is dili sila mo settle down sa ubos tungod sa Brownian motion. No? Kana bitaw nga random movement caused by water molecules hitting the particles. So, pero fortunately, naatay way para ma-separate sila. We can make them coagulate or um, agglomerated, no? Meaning, magdikit-dikit ang mga particles into a bigger mass nga pwede nato sila i-filter out. Mao na siya ang amorphous mass nga eventually mo settle out sa solutions. Okay? Now, the reason nganong stable ang mga colloids is because of the electric charge. No. And each colloidal particle absorbs ions from the surroundings and becomes charged. So class, it's either positive or negative. So kung tanan particles parehas og charge, like all positive or all negative, they will repel each other. Maunang dili sila magdikit og magpundo. Usually, kung nasa tubig is most colloidal particles become negatively charged. And because of that class, they keep repelling each other. Maunang they stay dispersed. Meaning, nagpabilin silang nagkalat sa solution instead nga musettling sa bottom. No? Next, we have this coagulation of colloids. Now, class, the main purpose of coagulant chemicals is to neutralize the negative charges of turbidity particles para dili na sila mag-repelay. No? Ang amount of coagulant nga i-add sa water depende sa zeta potential. So what is zeta potential, class? Maon ni ang measurement sa electrical charge nga naglibot sa colloidal particles. So as you can see here, kaning mga charges nga naa dira. No? You can think of zeta potential, class, as the repulsive force that keeps the particles apart. So kung dako ang zeta potential, class, mas daghan ang coagulant ang kinahanglan. Now, usually man sa mga coagulants are positively charged. Tungod kay positive sila, they are attracted sa negative particles nga mga water. No, as you can see here man, class, sa kaning kaduha nga example, they are attracted sa negative particles in water. Wait lang. Okay, so as you can see here man, class, kani mo-attract sila sa mga kaning positive charge, of course, mo-attract sa negative charge. No? Again, coagulants are usually positively charged. And tungod kay positive sila, of course, they are attracted sa mga negative nga particles. And when they combine, class, ma-neutralize ang charge, meaning wala na charge. As a result, the particles stop repelling each other. And after that, another force na pod another force acts na pod ang naa. And that is called the van der Waals forces. No? And these are weak attractive forces nga mo-attract sa mga neutral particles. So once wala na repulsion, van der Waals forces cause the particles to become together and form flux. No, again, class, kung wala na repulsion nga mahitabo, correction lang di ay. Before ni mahitabo, class, again, ang mga positive charges mo attract first sa mga negatively charged. No? And after that, ang mga neutral charges, since neutral naman na sila, mo attract na pod sila sa mga these are weak attractive forces and ma-attract sila sa mga neutral particles. So once wala na repulsions, the van der Waals forces cause the particles to come together and form flux. No? May himo siyang ing-ani. No? And when this flux class become bigger, musettle na sila sa ubos sa water. And finally, coagulation can be made faster by heating, stirring, or adding an electrolytes. And this help the particles come together more quickly. Okay, so if you don't get or understand, just backward lang mo gamay, no? Okay. Now, if the coagulated colloid would return to its original state nga dili mo settle down, mo ni ang process na gitawag nga peptidization of colloids. Peptidization of colloids. So after the coagulation class, we have to be careful not to wash the precipitate with pure water. Why? Because that can remove the ions that keep it coagulated. Mawala ang mga ions nga may reason nga nung na-coagulated yan ay tabo. Instead anak class, we wash with a volatile electrolyte. No? Solution, volatile electrolyte solution like kanang mga dilute nga nitric acid. And also class, during a digestion, we heat the precipitate in the mother liquor, no? To let the small particles dissolve and redeposit on larger ones. And this removes purity and filterability. A very important step in making the precipitate stable and easy to handle. Okay, if we control the conditions properly, class, we can get crystalline precipitate. And these are the ideal type of precipitate. They more stable and easier to purify. Pero class, even if crystalline na siya, sometimes nagyapon tay problem. And that's what we call co-precipitation. This happens class kung ang uban nga soluble compounds madala put together with the solid nga gusto nato makuha. So, instead of pure solid, na impurities nga na-appeal. No? Now, there we have 4 types of precipitation here. First is the surface adsorption. And this happens class when impurities stick sa surface sa crystals. So murag naa sila'y layer sa gawas nga impurity. Then the second one is we have the mixed crystal formation. Diri class, ang contaminant ions muilis sa original ions inside the crystal lattice. So, sulod pa mismo sa structure ang impurity. The next one is the occlusion. And in this case class, we have the foreign particles that get trapped inside the crystal while it's forming. So murag nalak sila sa sulod, no? And lastly, we have this mechanical entrapment. And this happens class when impurities get caught between growing crystals. So usually kung paspas kayo ang pag-form. Now, these impurities class can affect the accuracy sa ato ang results, especially in analytical chemistry. So, to minimize these, we do digestion or reprecipitation, meaning we let the precipitate rest or reform again para mas limpyo o mas pure ang ato ang final product. Next. And also class, we in co-precipitation, we also have this surface adsorption. And sa ganit ni, adsorption class is a common source of co-precipitation and is likely to cause significant contamination of precipitates. And of course, to minimize the absorbed impurities, we can do the digestion process and also the washing process. Another to do is reprecipitation. So this is the repetition of precipitation process. Filtered solid is again redissolved and reprecipitated. No? So, muna to ang gitawag nga minimizing absorbed impurities on colloids. And ang pag-minimize sa mga impurities nga na-absorb sa colloids class kay importante para ma-approve ang purity sa substance. Usually, ang purity sa mga coagulated colloids ma-improve through a process called digestion. Now, during this process class, ang water or ang tubig ma-expel gikan sa solid, forming a denser mass nga mas gamay og specific surface area para sa adsorption. Usahay, makatabang pod if imo siyang i-wash ang coagulated nga colloid gamit ang solution niya na ay volatile electrolyte. Kay kini nga electrolyte class makapuli sa non-volatile electrolyte nga gigamit earlier para mag-cause sa coagulations. In short class, mas limpyo ang colloid after aning step. Pero, bisan unsa pa nga treatment method ang gamiton, ang coagulated colloid yun nagihapon gamay nga contamination. Even after sa extensive washing. Usually class ang error nga cost ani nga impurity kay mga 1 to 2 parts per thousand lang, no? So gamay ra kaayo pero nagyan po effect sa analysis. Again, wala man perfect nga experiment, di ba? There's always an error. Next, we have this reprecipitation. Kung gusto gyud nga ma-minimize ang adsorption effect class, pwede pod nga gamitin nato ang method nga gitawag og reprecipitation. And this method kay medyo drastic but effective kaayo. In this process class, ang filtered solid i-redissolve og i-reprecipitate balik. Meaning, ang first precipitate kay usually makadala lang og gamay nga fraction sa contaminant gikan sa original nga solution. Mao nga ang solution nga naa ang redissolved precipitate mas gamay na og contaminant kaysa sa original. So kung i-reprecipitate na siya for the second time, mas gamay pagyud ang adsorption niya may tabo. However, pud class, ang downside ani kay modugay gyud ang analysis kay magbalik-balik man ka og pag-dissolve og pag-precipitate, no? But ang nakanindot, ang resulta ani kay mas limpyo og mas accurate. No? Now we have also mixed crystal formation. Aside from surface absorption class, naapatay duwa ka other types of co-precipitation. Mao ni ang mixed crystal formation. And this happens kung ang contaminant ion moilis sa usa ka ion sulod sa crystal lattice sa precipitate. For example, kung nag-form ka og BaSO4 in a solution yan na ay Sr2 plus ions, some of those Sr2 plus ions can actually enter the lattice, forming a mixed crystals. Lisod din siya i-correct class kay sulod na gyud mismo sa crystal structure ang contamination, dili ang structure mismo. No? Now, next we have occlusion and mechanical entrapment. So kani nga type usually is may tabo kung paspas ang pag-grow sa crystals. So during that time class, impurities can get trapped inside or in between the crystals, forming pockets of impurities. No? So para ma-prevent ni class, make sure to precipitate slowly and avoid steering too vigorously. As what I've said a while ago, patience is the key. No? Hinay-hinay lang yun para makontrol ang crystal growth. Dili siya angay magpaspas. No? So that's it for part 1. For part 2, we will more talk about the calculations of results from gravimetric data. So see you on part 2. Bye.